In this video, I'm going to show you how to change the water pump on a 99 to 2006 and some 2007 Chevy Silverado. If you actually look at this list, it'll tell you all the vehicles that it's going to be the same for. And if you see right there, it says 99 to 2000 or 99 to 2003, but then if we go over here, then it says 2004 to 2006 for those same list of vehicles. So it's going to be the same for a bunch of different GM vehicles. Now, where's the best place to get a water pump at for the best price? Is off of Amazon. So if you click in the description below, again in the description below, you can get one of these water pumps off of Amazon for way cheaper than what you can get it for at your local auto parts store. And it's going to come with all the gaskets that you need. Another thing that you're going to want to order is at least 1 jug of antifreeze. And that stuff is linked up in the description below. So again, just click in the description below. And it also helps support our channel because we just get a very small percentage of that. So especially if you got Amazon Prime, you get it, you know, super quick in like 1 to 2 days, and it's definitely the best place to get it. So how do you know if your water pump is bad? Basically, if your truck starts off with like a slow coolant leak, to where the light or the text on the dash is saying that you have low coolant, and you're, you know, constantly adding coolant, maybe to start off with it started leaking very slowly, like, you know, maybe you have to add it once a month or once every couple weeks, but then as time goes on, it'll constantly get worse. There are a couple other things that you're going to want to check, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to be your water pump. It could also, you know, be leaking out of one of your hoses possibly, but that's pretty easy to see that it's not. And most of the time it's going to be your water pump, and you're going to want to change it because that's where it's leaking out of. Also, if your vehicle does overheat, it could be a bad thermostat, which goes in right here, which is just, you know, getting stuck closed. But you know, it's pretty easy to tell, obviously, if it's your thermostat, because it'll just heat right back up again no matter how much antifreeze it has in it. So I'm going to show you how to change this in this video. It's not too hard. Stay tuned. So the first thing you're going to want to do is actually take off the tube that comes off of the air box and goes into your injectors. So we'll take this off, and you'll just need a flathead screwdriver. And we'll go ahead and loosen this up, the hose clamp. Get it good and loose. And then we'll loosen up this bolt right here where it goes right onto the throttle bodies. Get it good and loose. And then you may have to take off this little clip where it goes to this radiator hose right down there, but mine's already off. It should just pull off of there for you. Kind of wiggle it. So we'll go ahead and lift that off, and then just pull on it and take it right off and lift that out of there and set it off to the side. So we'll set that on the ground. Then we're gonna want to go ahead and take off this hose right here, and you'll use a pair of pliers to squeeze in on that clamp right there. So we can go ahead and take that off. It probably will leak some antifreeze out, but that's all right. So we'll go ahead and get a big pair of pliers here. Probably have to make them a little bit wider. And then just kind of work it back. Just like that. And then you can go ahead and make your pliers wider and kind of twist it to break it loose like that. And then go ahead and pull on it like that. And you can take off that hose, just unclips out of there, this other hose deal. So now that we got that off, alrighty, the next thing we're going to want to do is get a 15mm ratchet and socket, and we're going to take the belt off. As you can see right here, we have the belt tensioner. It's on the left side if you're standing straight in front of the truck. You got your alternator right here, and it's going to be on the opposite side. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our socket on it, and we're going to turn it to our right if we're standing right in front of the truck, like that. Just so you can see this a little bit better, we'll move that out of the way. Turn it towards you like that. And that's going to relieve the tension on the belt. And then you should be able to just slide off the belt. And you're going to want to kind of take note of how it's routed on the shroud, that cover up here. It'll show you how to route it exactly. And then after you take it off, then we can relieve the tension and take off our socket. And then we can go ahead and slip off the belt right down there like that. Shoot, so we got the belt off. And then next we're going to want to take off this fan right here. Alrighty, now to get off the fan, we're basically going to have to keep that black deal that the fan bolts to right here from spinning. And the belt does not have enough tension to be able to get it off. You know, if the belt is on there, it's just going to slide because the belt just won't have enough tension. So what we're going to actually use, they make a special tool, but if you do not have that tool, what you can use is a pair of vice grips like this, and you'll want to adjust them just right, and you can slide that tool right in here where your belt tensioner is and where that hose is that we took off, right in between there. So I'll show you how I'm going to do this. Is I'm going to slide it down in there like that. What I did, it was hard for me to video that because I'm just doing this by myself, but basically those vice grips have to be very, very tight on there, and I actually used this pair of pliers and put them as wide as they'd go, and I actually used these to clamp down the vice grips to get it on there super tight. You want to put it right in that position right there, right between that top hose that we took off and the belt tensioner. And then I used my pipe wrench and also used a large pipe for more leverage. So I was able to stick that inside the pipe like that so I could get a lot of leverage. Another thing that you can do if you got it is I actually don't have my heat thing here right now, but like a propane, it's not a torch, but it's basically like what you'd use to solder like copper, and you can heat it up a little bit and that'll make it looser. But you want to be careful because that fan is plastic. So then what I did is you put that pipe wrench on the nut and then break it loose. And I got it broken loose, as you can see, because it is spinning off of there. So we'll loosen this all the way up. You can see it coming off of there already. And they do make a tool, if you're so lucky as to have it, that'll go in those holes and make it a lot easier to get this off. And I'll link it up in the description below. But as you can see, this fan is threading off of there. So after you get it loose enough, you can just go ahead and spin it off of there. And then we'll set this down. We'll be careful. We don't want to damage our radiator. So we got that fan off of there. And then we'll take off our vice grips. And they're actually on there so tight. I'm going to use these pliers right here to get them off of there on the tab. Bang. So we'll take off our vice grips. We got that fan all the way off of there, as you can see. Now the next thing that we're gonna have to do, we got to take off these hoses, that big hose, the belt tensioner, and yeah, then we'll be ready to actually start taking off some of the other stuff, the actual water pump. So let's get to it. So there's two belts that hold on the belt tensioner, and it's held on to a bracket right there on the water pump. So we're gonna have to take that off. You're gonna need a 16 millimeter, and as you can see, there's one right there and one bolt right there. So we'll go ahead, take these. Okay, there's actually a third bolt below there, it looks like, that holds that on. And it looks like it's like a 15 millimeter. Now we can take off that belt tensioner, get it out of the way, go ahead and set it off to the side. Might not be a bad idea to go ahead and just stick in the bolts in it where they go. Something just like that. And then just set it off to the side. We can go ahead and take off some of these hoses. right here. So we'll go ahead and do that with just a pair of pliers. And go ahead and use the pliers to just kind of softly turn them. To break them loose. You don't want to damage the hoses though. Go ahead and let that antifreeze, or water in my case, drain out. Then here's where your thermostat's going to be. So that looks like about a 10 millimeter, and we'll actually not even have to take that hose off. Yep, it's a 10 millimeter. So you'll need a 10 millimeter socket and ratchet. It looks like most of those that hold on the water pump are 10 millimeter. So you'll need a 10 millimeter ratchet, possibly an extension. So it's kind of hard to see those bolts, but if you actually look on your new water pump, you can see what I'm talking about. The way there's 6 bolts, there's 3 on each side, kind of in a upside down triangle. And if you turn the water pump to how it would be sit on the truck, you can see we got our top bolt right here, our middle bolt, and then our bottom bolt to kind of make an upside down triangle. That's the side that's easy to see. Then over here, this is the side that's a little bit harder to get to. You can see we got our top bolt, our middle bolt, and our bottom bolt, and it kind of makes an upside down triangle. So we'll take out those 6 bolts, and they're all 10 millimeters. They're pretty long, but aren't too hard to get to. So there's actually 6 bolts total that hold on this actual water pump. They're all 10 millimeters. There's 3 on each side. I'll go ahead and show you where they're at, and we're going to go ahead and loosen them up. As you can see, we got 1, 2, 3, and they're kind of in a triangle formation on each side. Then if you look down there on the other side, you'll see 1, 2, and then the third one you can't really see, but and we're going to want a 10 millimeter socket, extension, and ratchet, and we're going to loosen all of them up first. So we're on the left side. Go ahead and loosen these up. We're just gonna get them loose to start off with. So after you get your old water pump out, the next thing that you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and flip it over your new water pump like that. And then it's gonna come with 4 different gaskets. These 2 that are still in the bag are for your thermostat, so we're not gonna need those right now. However, these 2 are your gaskets that go in between your water pump and where it bolts to the motor. So that one goes on there, right like that. And the gaskets are the same for each side. That one goes on there like that. So what we'll actually do is take on each side 2 of our bolts and go ahead and stick them through like that, and we'll leave those 2 bolts on when we put it on, and then we'll go ahead and stick 2 bolts through on the other side to hold on that gasket, to hold on both those gaskets. So we'll have 4 bolts total. And then we'll go ahead and put in this water pump on the truck, leaving on 2 bolts on each side. And then we'll go ahead and get them hand tight so our gasket is all lined up. So we'll go ahead and take that outside and do that. Now that we got our gaskets on with our bolts just setting in there, we'll take this very carefully closer to the driver's side. So now that we got them all snug down, you can go ahead and tighten them up. You kind of want to tighten them up in a pattern, if that makes sense. Start putting back on. The hoses, and we got to put back in our thermostat and the belt tensioner, and then of course go ahead and put on our fan. You can go ahead and take off this green thing right here. It just protects the threads on the front where the fan bolts onto. So we'll go ahead and get our thermostat back in, and we'll need our new gaskets for that. And obviously want it snug, but don't want to over tighten it. at the same time and strip it out. Goes over the power steering and then over the alternator, and from the fan deal on your water pump comes down around the power steering pump and then back over the alternator. Leave this part right here off where it goes around this idler wheel, put it around the belt tensioner, and then release the tension with your 15mm socket and then hook it underneath that idler wheel. So next we'll put on our fan. Kind of use your hand to twist that nut on, and then can just kind of spin the fan on if it'll work for you. Then we'll get our large crescent wrench or pipe wrench. Kind of hold the belt and just where it goes around the belt tensioner, and just get it good and tight on there. That should be good. Put that clamp on right where it was last time. Kind of shimmy it right around there, right like that. And then we'll go ahead and hook up that hose where it clamps in. Right there. Alrighty, so we got her all done. Any of the parts that you'll need are linked up in the description below. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please like, subscribe. Let me know if you liked this video, if you didn't, if it helped you. Always love your feedback. Go ahead and get it started up and test it out. As you can see, it's not leaking any coolant. That's just some of the water that I spilled right there. It's just burning off now that it's hot. But it's not leaking any coolant. Everything's working good. If you remember, I spilled some water or maybe coolant on that exhaust shield. So but yeah, everything's working good on it. Please like, subscribe. And thank you so much, guys, for watching. Parts you'll need linked up in the description below. Until next time, peace.